Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Govberg, and thanks for logging on. Today we're looking at the Lange und Söhne 1815 18-karat pink gold. This is the 2009 to 2014 40mm version of the watch. You can see it and you can buy it on our website, govbergwatches.com. And if you enjoy these videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel and download our app, Govberg On Time, for the latest news, views, and reviews, as well as multimedia of luxury watches. Now, on my wrist, 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference, this watch is nevertheless tidy in its overall proportions, despite the larger 40mm case. Now, the watch is nice and slim, only 9.5 millimeters thick. It has a generously sloped bezel, so you will fit this watch underneath any tight sleeve or dress cuff. Now, after 2014, the watch was redesigned as a 38.5mm timepiece, and it's important to note that although both of them wear as traditional dress watches, this one has just a bit more body for a larger wrist. If 40mm is the lower limit of a watch you can wear without being forced to crack a smile or worse, inspiring a chuckle, take a look at the 40mm version of the watch. It does have more wrist presence. What it does not have is an excessive lug-to-lug span. This is a very compact timepiece at 47.5mm lug-to-lug. So although it may appeal most to those with huge wrists who want a smaller timepiece, those who have smaller wrists who want a larger timepiece should be able to wear this watch with great security, style, and proportion down to a wrist size of really 13 centimeters. It's that compact, but it does have a nice precious metal heft to it. I always like to talk about how the watch feels on the wrist in terms of mass, and this one has good presence. Close your eyes, you remember it's there. It has that kind of charisma, and the rose gold has great heft to it. Also note, this is not Lange's proprietary honey gold. That's a completely different substance with a completely different aesthetic. This is richer, warmer, more intense than the honey gold, and it's paired with a wonderfully traditional straight spring bar brown rectangular scale alligator leather with a monotone stitch. It does feature a little bit of a central spline, just a bit of swell to approach the lug and allow the two to meet with something like a similar thickness. So visually very coherent, but again, very traditional because you do have those straight spring bars. There's a gap to the case and you can pull the strap down around a smaller wrist. Now, the pin buckle is well known to Lange fans. If you do have a smaller wrist, that little retaining bar prevents the strap from becoming pinned and stuck on your wrist. If you really have to crank it down, that prevents the strap from getting essentially just pinned and stuck on the pin part of the pin buckle and becoming inextricable. When it's really tight, that is a very cleverly designed pin buckle right there. Simple, minimalist, but like everything else on the watch, beautifully thought out. Now, the watch itself is a tribute to our hero, Ferdinand Adolf Lange, or Lange, I should say, born in 1815. Now, 1815 he was born, 1845 he founded his eponymous manufacturer, and as you can tell, he was quite a young man when he did, but nevertheless, he was a manufacturer of the most traditional pocket watches, not wristwatches. So this watch is, in many ways, an aesthetic adaptation of the look of a pocket watch into a wristwatch format. You can see it's a high-polished case, again in the pocket watch tradition, with a dial that features a very traditional railroad track, minute track, outboard of stylized full Arabics, wonderfully symmetrical dial. It does feature a little bit of texture and differentiation. You can see the center dial being stepped down a bit, and again, pocket watch inspired, the sub-seconds being a little bit countersunk at 6 o'clock. Now, the watch features spectacular alpha hands at center, and they're overlapped a little bit at the moment, so I'm going to separate them for your viewing pleasure. But you can see how they have a grace to them. Not as heavy as Dauphine hands, pinched at center and beautifully heat oxidized to create that rich cobalt blue. They really pop against the matte silver base of this dial. You also may have noticed when I withdrew the crown that the watch does feature hacking seconds, and that's courtesy of the L051 in-house caliber on the case back. Unhack the balance, resume its beat at 21,600 vibrations per hour. Now, just as the dial of the watch features pocket watch cues and pocket watch design language, so does the movement, starting with the full 3/4 bridge architecture. You can also see the pivot jewels of the train are set in chaton, gold chaton held in by screws, another homage to the assembly methods of the pocket watch era. Not technically necessary, but again, here for nostalgic sake and beautifully rendered. The watch also features a traditional hand-engraved balance cock. Now, there are 6 artisans at Lange und Söhne who conduct the engraving of the balance cocks, and each one has a distinctive design that is personal and identifiable that can be linked to the original artisan. So Lange sells a book that allows you to find out which artisan amongst their roster created that signature component on your watch. You can also see black polish on the cover of the escape wheel, as well as the swan's neck regulator and the case clamp screws, which contrast beautifully with the heat-blued assembly screws fixing the bridges in place. The watch also features a tight and even engine-turned perlage across the base plate, and from a technical standpoint, a superior 55-hour power reserve for ample autonomy between windings. You can see this vintage-inspired historic homage to the founder, Ferdinand Adolf Lange, on our website, govbergwatches.com.